Okay, I'd like to just take a moment and welcome everybody to our Presenter Pro 2 session, which is looking at SMART Lumio, reinvent your presentation as an interactive conversation. And what is really special about today's session is that we have Jody being with us. And so Jody is, probably what we should do is flip over to the next. Yeah, so Jody is a senior professional development specialist with Smart Technologies. She and I tried to cross paths a couple of years ago at a session here in Edmonton at a Edmonton Public School, who had just installed MX panels in their schools, but due to like some family matters, I wasn't able to make it. And I was like, I wasn't able to meet Jody. And then the next year at Teachers Convention down in Calgary, we crossed paths and drank some wine, and it was just wonderful to get to know her. She's a true teacher from way back, and she's continued her journey working with Smart Technologies. So she's been in education more than 30 years, multiple capacities, K-12, and she's also worked at a post-secondary level and an avid elective. I actually don't know what that means, Jody. What's avid elective?
Well, that's a great question. I actually thought about that. So in the United States, we have this really amazing program that is it's actually global, and I think it's in other countries, and it might be in Canada and a few places, but it is all about college and career readiness and how to kind of build those opportunities for students who might not have them. And so it's a huge program here in the United States, and districts can be part of it. And my district that I was in when I was teaching was part of the AVID family. And so I was an AVID elective teacher, and it was just pure fun, a lot of fun.
That's interesting, because that helps to explain why, from a teaching perspective, like the work that you do and the conversations, you're very much about success for all learners, whatever that looks like for that particular person. And certainly we'll be getting into some of that today. I'm Janet Bell. I wear a few hats this year. One of them is as a learning facilitator with ERLC. And the other one is as the Director of Professional Learning with ATLE. And so this series, the Presenter Pro series, is being offered to participants at no cost because of a partnership between ATLE, ERLC, and some of the work of our sponsors for the Convergence Conference, which is coming up December 8th, 9th, and 10th. And it's at convergenceconference.ca. You can go in there, take a look at the conference, take a look at the speakers. Jody's doing a couple more sessions there as well. So if you like this session, you can come there and learn some more. And so it's kind of a win-win-win situation. I'm glad you guys were all able to join us, and it's nice to see so many some familiar faces and some familiar names in the group. And so feel free to turn on your cameras so we can get the nonverbal feedback as we go. But I'm going to turn it over to, actually, I have one more question to ask you before I turn it over to Jody. And so, Jody, did you want to get them to log in, or shall I?
Yeah, go ahead. I have it up on the screen. I'll let you go ahead and do it.
Okay, so what we'd like you to do first of all, and just to kind of feel what we're talking about, is just in another tab on your computer, just go to hellosmart.com. Thanks, Jody. Jody's just put it in the chat. And you're going to enter the class ID is 44720, 44720.
And it helps to split your screen if you can on your device, so that way you can see my screen in Zoom, and then also be able to see the activities that we're going to be doing today.
And if you're not that familiar in Zoom, you'll see at the top right of your screen, there's a little view pane. And if you just click in there, it might be a little different on a PC, but if you just click in the top right corner, you'll be able to like escape out of full screen if you're stuck in a full screen mode. The escape key, I think, does it as well. So hellosmart.com. class code 44720. I guess I better be doing this too.
Oh, that would be so great. Thanks, Janet. And I can see that I have 5 of you in my class, so we'll just wait another minute. So while you're doing it, and for those of you who've already entered, what I would like to do is take you through what your attendees, your participants, might be able to see and be able to engage in. So as you're doing your presentations, how do we bring in our participants in an active way? So that's really what I want you to do. I want you to experience. I'm going to be the presenter for right now, but what we're going to do halfway through is flip you over, and then you'll become the presenter. And I'll show you how I created the activities that we're going to be doing together. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and close that up. If you need us to put it back in the chat, let me know, but I would love to say hi to Janet and John and Candace, Lynn, MH, Mr. Nicholas, Sue Hellman, and Tanisha, and Doug. I see that you got in here. So I can see as participants who's coming in, welcome them. Mr. Flowers, hello. You guys are also formal. I love it. And then we have Janet, right? And Doug.
Yes, we're the down in the heel ATLE types in the room.
All right. Let us know if you need any help.
Yes, any questions?
It was just a default through logging in with my EPSB Gmail. So
Makes sense.
Okay. I don't know if it was just me that was breaking up or if it was, I wasn't able to hear that.
Yeah, no, he was saying that it's his, like his default from his other work.
Okay. All right. And you're a student, just so you know that right now you are logging in as if you were a student or an attendee or participant. Lots of teachers will do this in their staff meetings, or they'll have their staff join and do some different activities during the staff meeting if they wanted to. So just seeing how it looks from the other side is always a nice way. So Janet, when you are ready, I'm going to say that we have most everybody. And if you're not able to sign in, just take a look at my screen and you can get the gist of it. This is being recorded, so you can see what it is. But go ahead, Janet.
Well, I think it's time that we opened up our workspace, Jody.
All right.
And so inside our workspace, we have a question for you. And as Jody mentioned earlier, everything that we're doing through the presentation, we're actually being quite strategic. So we'll come back, refer back to things later on. So the first question, well, the only question I have to ask you is, what type of presentation format do you usually use when presenting? So if I were presenting a session at Convergence or with my kids at school, I might ask a question at the beginning of my class, and I could have people respond in the chat. But maybe I want people to get a good kind of overview of the capacity of each of these, 4 quadrants on this circle here. So if you could just please, like some of you are already doing, go grab that check mark in the corner and drag it down. If you're a Google Slides person, you can just drag it over Google Slides. If you're using PDFs, drag it over PDFs. If you're using both, do it twice. So let's get a good collaborative mind map of how we are approaching our presentations.
Kind of have a tie going with the Google Slides and the PD. I'd love to know what the other is.
Yes. What's the other? Either unmute or put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Keynote.
That's what I figured. Yep.
Yeah.
Keynote. Okay. Got that Mac user here. That's awesome. Now, what's really great about this as we're going through, if this was in your presentation and you were and I'm going to share with you another one in a few minutes, but what I love about this is it kind of gives you an idea of where your participants are at. Now, the other layering of this is you can actually click on each one of the different check marks and you get a drop down menu. So you can look and say, oh, that's Lynn. That's great, depending on where your intimacy is with your participants. But you could go, hey, Lynn, tell me more about what this question's asking. Or I can go over here and say MH is right here. So I can find out who they are simply by just dropping down. And you can too on your side of things. So we have keynotes over here, Meeting Pro, Whiteboard. Thanks, John, for sharing that with us. So really what I want to do today, but it looks like the majority of us might be Google Slides, but I want you to have a mindset like this. Whatever your presentation mode is, we're going to see how we can embed it inside Lumio. which is our platform that's all web-based. So what I would like to do first is give you a little bit of an overview of what we want to do today during our time. It's going to go by really quick. You're going to have maybe some questions. I want to give you some resources. And then, of course, Janet and I are going to be happy to answer any emails as you're moving forward or getting ready for your presentation. We can help you with that. So this is just the beginning, right, Janet?
Yeah. This is definitely just the beginning. We can keep the conversation going. I have a couple of other Lumio presentations I'm giving to schools across the province in the next few weeks, and looking forward to doing more with the ERLC as time unfolds too. So if you're interested, let me know, and I can be here. Jody's there in the background as well.
Yep. So we'll make sure you have our contact information. I put it in the chat at the beginning of mine, but we'll also put it in at the end, so you have all of that. So really our goals for today is really to figure out what is this Lumio that Janet has talked about, what you want to maybe consider when you're using your presentation for that interactivity and engagement and fun. We have to just put that out there too. It's just fun to do some of the activities in here. We're going to take a quick field trip of what you see in Lumio from the student perspective, and then we're going to flip our hat over and become teachers or presenters. And I'm going to show you how I created the presentation that I'm going to take you through in just a minute. And then really what it is we want to share with you how you can enhance the files that you already have and import your existing content, whether it's a Google slide, a PDF, a PowerPoint. You can bring in those different types of file formats and bring them right into into Lumio really carefully. We also have the ability, as you just saw, to make collaborative workspaces in a variety of different ways. The one I just did with you was everyone was on the same workspace. But you also can make some small collaborative groups, kind of like little breakout, but it's more for the page that you are working on in your content. We're going to go in and also show if maybe you want to do an individual handout where your participants are reflecting on their own for maybe a few minutes, and then you want to share out what they are thinking or what they're doing, and so we have that ability to do that. And then also, you probably have heard before, we have infinite cloners, so you can actually enhance the pages that you are doing and make it more interactive. Just like I did on my page with you, I added that little check mark and I made it into an infinite cloner. And it's really easy to do. Just something that simple can really add a dimension to your presentation that you didn't have before. And then at the very end, I want to share with you probably one of our favorite features, which is called a shout it out. It's just like, just getting some feedback, instant feedback really quick to figure out the pulse of what your presentation's all about. And then at the very end, when we're done, I want to share with you, how do you deliver your presentation in Lumio like I'm doing right now? So we're going to go full circle. So are we all ready, Janet? Was there anything I missed?
We're good.
Okay. So I wanted you to take a look at this page that's I'm presenting right now. I want to give you in a nutshell a little bit about the Lumio. Lumio is that online platform. And if any of you are familiar with SMART, we've had SMART Notebook for a really long time. And we've really, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've really started to move into that online platform, just like Google and OneDrive and all of those. So what we'd love to share with you today is, we're not going to get to everything, but what I'm going to do is pull out the pieces that are really going to speak to those presentations and leveling your presentations up. But in a nutshell, just so you know, because I want to get you excited, one of the things that we love about Lumio is that you can combine multiple resources, which means that, hey, I'm doing a presentation next week and I have that Google slide that I want to use, but I also have that one page in that PowerPoint. And then I have that PDF that I want to pull in. And I can actually take that one page from my PowerPoint, those 3 pages from my Google slide, and that one page from my PDF. I can mash them together and bring them simply in one format. So my workflow stays consistent. It's easy, and it's just a flip of a button that we can do that really quick. And I'll show you how that works. We also have the ability, if you wanted to add some audio onto any of your file pages. So if you are going to send your file out to your participants, they can log in, they can get a link, and then there could be some audio of an extension activity, or you're, maybe explicitly telling what you want them to do on that certain page. We do have some game-based activities. I'm telling you straight up, I teach at some universities here in Portland, Oregon, and my adult learners love the game-based activities. It's fun, and you can change your own background and customize them. So that's something to think about. We also have some manipulatives. So if you are talking to teachers and you're like, hey, we really are looking at that equity lens, these ready-made manipulatives are really great for those students that are maybe still at home. And we have some that are literally already made, they're ready to go. And all you have to do is import them right into a existing content, and you have some manipulatives. We also have the ability to collect data through our assessments. We have lots of ways to bring in different, I guess, scopes of what that assessment might look like. You could do a poll or opinion. A lot of people use the Kahoots and Poll Everywhere and just different types of apps like that. You could do that inside Lumio. You could do a poll, or you could do an opinion, or you can do a short answer, and instantly you can get that feedback and make those work within your presentation. If you need to show a YouTube video, you don't have to go out and have an open app of YouTube and then cross your fingers that nothing questionable is going to show up on the screen, right? You're like, oh God, please no. It's already embedded, it's already in your workflow, and it's commercial free. Like I said, we already have collaboration spaces. We can do everyone in a collaboration space, or we can have small groups where they're working together in those little spaces. And then we have ready-made graphic organizers like Venn diagrams and things like that. And just so you know, SMART is trying to release a new feature every month. So it's really fun. It's like Christmas every month, where there's a new feature coming out. And there's quite a few that are coming out at Christmas time with some of the partners that we have. So stay tuned for more and more. Janet, what is your favorite component when you're presenting in Lumio?
Okay, I wondered if you were going to ask me that. So I was thinking there's a triangle here. This is how I'm getting away with 3 instead of 1. When we talk about teaching, we talk about the whole notion of assessment as learning, and that whole idea of following the learning journey through assessment can be those SMART response, like tracking over time and comparing the before and after. But so much of it, and this is my background as an English teacher, I think would come from those collaboration spaces, because to be able to work individually with something and then grow it as a group, or backwards, like think, pair, share kinds of activities, to me that potential to be constructivist in that classroom conversation is really powerful. And the third piece that fits into that, of course, is that combine multiple resources, because you're pulling in different activities in different formats that you've used before into that like total package of the SMART Lumio file. But I think it's being able to support through that assessment as learning journey. That's what I like.
I love that. Yeah, no, I love that you had more than one, because I usually can't pick
hard, right?
one.
And shout it out as part of that. I mean,
right.
It's lots.
There's so many things. So I just wanted to let you know what the power and the potential. Obviously, we're not going to go through all of this, but I'm going to kind of zone in on the pieces that I think will be really beneficial for you as a presenter, if that's okay. So what I would like to do right now is I'm going to actually take you through a presentation, something that I have had for a really long time. And we obviously know that, thinking about the mindset is a good thing, fixed mindset, growth mindset. So what I want to do is I would like for you're my student, I want you to just explore really quickly what it would be like if we were going to present this. And I'm your presenter, we're talking through it. And notice on your screen right now, if you are logged in, you don't have any tools at all. So you're in what is called view only. And of course, this is just the title page. So I just want my attendees to just kind of hear me and be part of that. But then what I want to do is I want to do that icebreaker, kind of what we just did with, hey, are you a Google Slide user? What platform do you use? So what I am going to do this time is I am going to have everyone on the same space again, but this time I just want you to play with it. It's just like we did. So let's say I have this continuum. And by the way, my file was made in, part of it was made in Google Slides. I've had this presentation, but then I also brought in a PDF and a page from a PowerPoint. This page right here, I created in Google Slides, but then I added that infinite cloner piece. And so that's what I want. So just for fun, let's say this was our question of the day, you know, hey, are you convinced? How convinced are you about those academic mindsets? Now, you don't really have to, but you're just going to take that check mark and you're going to put it somewhere on this continuum. So if you're there, go ahead and you should have access to it. And there we go. And just for fun, now, while you're doing that and playing with it, you'll notice that you have tools on the left-hand side now. And so maybe I might say, hey, tell me what your name is, what your teaching job is. Maybe it could be anything that you would like to, get some information about your attendees. Again, one more time, if I click on a certain piece of this, like the check marks, I can see that Mr. Flowers had that right there. There might be a discussion there. And hey, Mr. Flowers, hey, tell me more, why this might not be useful. This could really start and spark a critical conversation for your presentation. And in the chat, if you are thinking how this might work in your presentation, I'd love for you to share it with everyone or come off of mute if you want. We can kind of see how that works. But again, this was made in Google Slides and I just added the infinite cloner and now that engagement is beyond. I have to tell you though, a couple of months ago, I did one of these activities and there were 300 attendees in my class. It became like this beautiful artwork. It was unbelievably beautiful. I think I had like, I didn't do a check mark, but I had a different icon because you can pick whatever image you want to infinite clone. And having 300 people and just having them do their, continuum here, it was amazing. And it was so thoughtful. And it was just really a fun way to get people excited about this.
It's truly a mind map, right? It's a collaborative mind map. I was sharing with Jody when we were chatting about the presentation last week or so that I've been doing a PD Day session up in Grand Prairie just last week or a couple of weeks ago, can't remember now. And one of the sessions was on Lumio and it was on digital citizenship, but I was using Lumio for the presentation. And so I had we talked about the whole idea of cell phone use. And then I made a little kind of template where the one side was this picture of this like lovely cartoon unicorn. And then on the other side was this cartoon devil. And then they had to like choose where they would place the little image of the cell phone in that, in that picture. So it's fun. You can just be as creative as you want and match it to the audience that you have. And it's a powerful little piece.
Well, and the nice thing is that if you already have a page in your file that you just want to tweak a little bit by adding an infinite cloner, you can make any page that you have into a collaborative workspace like I just did. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to move on now. So this is a collaborative workspace where I have everybody do an icebreaker to kind of talk about growth mindset. And then if you notice on your end of things, on the student side, which is the attendee side, you don't have any tools again, right? So I can, keep my page as a view only, talk about remembering what a fixed mindset is. But at any time during my presentation, if all of a sudden I decide that this page should be sent out to each of my attendees, I can literally go up to this little class management icon, where I have all of my students. And then down at the very bottom, if you notice, and I want you to pay attention because you're going to see this again later, I can convert this into an individual handout, which means each one of my attendees will get their own copy to kind of reflect on, write their own notes on, highlight the keywords, whatever I want them to do, or I could make it into a collaborative workspace. So the bonus here is that any page that I have inside my presentation, I can convert directly to an individual handout or a collaborative workspace. All right. So these 2 pages I'm just going to talk about in my presentation, just kind of do a review. And now what I want my students to do is I want them to really think about the difference between fixed and growth mindset and the dialogues that happen. So if I click on student progress on your side, you're going to have a start button. So go ahead and click start. And if you're looking at my screen, you're going to see the teacher side or the presenter side. I'm going to see who has entered into their individual handout. All right, so I can see Doug is in there, Mr. Flowers, Candace, John. Hi, oh, I have some friends here. But it's so nice to be able to go in. But notice down here in the bottom right corner, I have a teacher handout. This is really valuable in the fact that I have my own handout. It's like putting my own paper underneath a doc camera without having the doc camera. So I can always reference and I can go up and say, all right, so here's what you're going to do. I want you to draw a line to whether the statement is a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. We're just going to do a quick review. You have the tools on the left-hand side. Notice that you can click on the pen, which is the second icon down. You have thickness. You can change your thickness. You have a highlighter of 6 different colors, and I can highlight if I needed to, but I also can do a pen, and you can do that too. So I want you to play around a little bit, but now that I'm done kind of showing you, I can drop in and say, hey, Cheryl, how's it going? And then I can, go in there. I can give them a digital sticker of, hey, thank you for joining and doing this piece with us. But I can have that interactive piece. And all you have to do is click start. And notice up here, now I want to point this out as a presenter. And notice Candace, looking at my screen up here, you see that Candace has this little green dot or this little check right here. That means that Candace is done with that page. How I like to do it when I'm doing presentations is I tell my attendees, hey, after you're done with this and you've done some reflection, will you push the done button if you're willing to share with the whole group? That way I can see who, because you're going to have people who are like, I'm sitting quiet. I'm just here, a fly on the wall. I don't want to engage. And we want to honor that. But what I like to do is say, oh, thanks, Janet. And then I can drop in on Janet. And now I can have Janet communicate what she did and why. And that can bring in a great conversation. I can just scroll through each one of these and I can see how John is doing and talking to him. But I love to use that little check mark as if that's like, hey, share with us. Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I was just typing. That's a great idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that. It gives permission and keeps people feeling safe, I think, with kids especially, Pete.
Right, right. And it gives them some time. So if you have time to do and this is an individual handout. So I can go in later and see what they're doing. Remember, this is web-based, which means that it's saved automatically. I don't have to do anything. If I exit out of this presentation and come back later tonight to it, I can go in and check out Doug's, responses or give them some feedback or give them the next steps. So whatever my presentation, that's how I use it in a handout. All right, we're going to move on just so you can see. Now, this is another workspace because I really feel like that's the power of, your presentations is to, put people together so that they can have these discussions. And so this time, instead of doing everyone in the same workspace, I did it all. I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to actually connect. I'm not going to do it. I can actually group them And here's what you need to know. If you're going to do collaborative groups in a workspace, it's important to know that you can have up to 9 groups with 6 in each group. So if you're doing a presentation and there's more than 54 in your class, you're going to probably want to do an everyone in the same workspace and not go into collaborative groups, because not everyone would be able to get into that group. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm writing that in the chat, so we have
Okay.
that. Perfect.
So if you're going to do collaborative groups, small groups, you can do 9 groups with 6 in each group. So you can have a maximum of 54. That's a lot though. But then again, remember when I had 300, obviously I couldn't do the small groups, but I could do the heat map, and it was just as engaging, even more so. So just so you know, you have options there. Okay. Moving on, I just want to just show you. So here's another one. Let me just put you into small groups. So I'm going to do 3 groups. Check this out. Are you guys watching that? Did you see what just happened? It automatically sorted my participants into the groups that I wanted. And the nice thing is if I don't know anybody, then I'm okay with the groups. But then let's say,
Jody.
What's that?
Memories and I are in the same group. We're trouble.
Oh, I knew Memories was. Hello, Memories. Okay, I'm moving you. That's not going to happen. Can't have it. But I'm going to move Sue over here. And notice I can change things around. So once I do that, start the space. On the presenter side, I have a bird's eye view of everybody's collaborative workspace. So what I want you to do in here, just for like 30 seconds, I want you to play with the tools that are on the left-hand side. All right, so you have an eraser tool, you have if you look at the little, it looks like a little image tool. If you click on that, just let you know that you can, if the participants already have a selected image saved on their local device, they can go and grab it. If you wanted to add an external web link, like, hey, check out this, I want you to show you where this is at, pay attention. Or you can actually add online images, and then you can, again, I can look and see who has contributed to each one of those. As a presenter, I can drop into each of the teams, give them some feedback, drive the discussion in a different direction. Love it. And again, don't forget, I can click on the image and I can say, Mr. Flowers, that is such a great image. I love that idea of that fixed and growth mindset. And I can go through each one of my teams and see, wow, snow day. Oh, look, we have 2 opposites, snow day and then flooding. And team 2, boy, I should have said, what's the weather? Sue, you're like, oh, and then snow day. Who do we have for snow day? Janet.
Yeah, of course, Rita.
All right. So this is just an example of what it looks like to have the small collaborative workspaces. Is there anything else I should add in there, Janet?
I think that sounds great.
Okay, so let's just kind of review what we've gone through right here. So from here, we started with a Google slide. I made one of the pages into a collaborative workspace. I left some pages just read only because I just wanted to do that direct instruction with my students. I also added some handouts in here so that the participants were doing their own kind of thinking and reflection. I added a small group collaborative workspace, and that brought in all of it was done in my Google Slides. All right, so what I would like for you to do right now is go into your upper left corner. And I want of your screen that you're in Hello Smart. And I want you to click on the 3 horizontal lines. And I want you to leave Jody's class, because I want you to go into your own Lumio account and become teachers. We're not going to be students. We're not going to be attendees. I want everybody to go ahead. And just so you know, as a presenter, I can go into my class management tool at the very top. And I can go down to the bottom down here where it says edit, and I can select all and remove you. And now, bam, you're out of my class. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just end it. And you should be seeing my screen now. So if you are a Google user, I want to tell you that we do have Google integration. and it's seamless and it's wonderful. And you just do everything from your Google Drive. And we can share with you later if you need to do that. If you are a Microsoft user, we also integrate beautifully within Teams. So if you ever have to, present in Teams, you live and breathe inside Teams. You can open up Lumio inside Teams. You can do everything and you never have to leave the team. So just so you know, we integrate, and I have a teacher guide for each one of those at the end that you guys can take a look at. All right. So if you are a Google user, I'm going to go inside my Google Drive. You're going to go over here to new, and you're going to, if you haven't already, you'll get the Lumio app. It's really simple to do. Just go to the App Store in here. So if you go new, more, and then right here it says connect more apps. You can do that if you don't have the app. But if you do have the app, notice my screen right here. It will say Lumio by Smart. Okay. So if you already have it, it's already turned on and it's enabled, then that's all you have to do. It's just a one-time thing. If you need to go get the Lumio by Smart app, just go new, more, connect more apps. Once the window opens, then you're going to go ahead and just type in Lumio by Smart, and it'll show up, and then go ahead and install. Okay.
And I've put the link directly to that page, or to what you get when you click on the Lumio. I've put that in the chat. So if for some reason you don't have it connected yet, that will
help you out
that circle for you.
And that was for the Google users. So once you go into it and you click on new, more, and then Lumio, if it's your very first time, it's going to take you through a wizard. Just follow it, and it'll take you right into your Lumio dashboard. Now, from this point on, if you are a Google Drive user, anything that I create inside my dashboard here, inside my Lumio, is actually also being saved in my Google Drive. So I can live and breathe in here, but I also can go into my Google Drive and it's there. If I am in my Microsoft, everything is going to be living inside here in your dashboard, and you'll find your files directly right inside here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to actually share with you a little bit. You can do your own banner up here. A couple things to note is that the class code that I got, you will now get initiated one class code. You don't have to memorize it. It's always going to be there. The other thing is that it doesn't change. So unlike other, I guess, platforms, you might have to change your code or give access to your participants. You don't have to do that. In Lumio, your participants will always go to hellosmart.com and enter your class code. That's it. There's no
app. We had a question earlier on that kind of integrates into that. So like one of the things I love is exactly like what Jody's talking about here, that you just have that one class code. And then when your students come to, your session any day, they actually see your name, not even the class code. It'll be Mrs. Bean's class. And so it's simple, especially for those younger kids, to get into your class. And somebody asked a question about what if they're teaching two classes and they've got slides for both. So the comment I made in the chat was, like, whatever you're showing at the time is what you're showing at the time. So it's just like having a real classroom, right? Like if it's 9 o'clock, it's grade 3, and if it's 10 o'clock, it's grade 4 kind of thing. But also that the files, and I love this, can be shared out asynchronously through Google Classroom. And so that way, if you have an activity that you want your grade 2s to work on, they can still access that through Google Classroom, even if you're doing something else live with your grade 4s.
And same with Microsoft Teams. So if you wanted to,
Teams.
if you are using Teams, or even if you have a student or a participant who, like we've had a few that have had to leave, we could actually send that link. It's just a URL. You can send it through an email. You can put it in a Google Doc. Yeah. You can put it on a Google Drive, a Google Slide, or you can put it, in your OneDrive. So that URL can live anywhere. So you have the best of both worlds, right, Janet? Synchronously or asynchronously, you're good to go.
Yes.
All right, so let's just kind of go through here. You have your little avatar emoji up here. Yours might just have your initials, but a couple things to point out is that if you click on here, it'll tell you what account you are in. And then we have this place of what's new, because like I said, we're trying to add new features every single month. Our challenge for ourselves is to add a new feature in Lumio every single month. So we just added a color picker for the font for November, December. We have a couple partnerships that are going to be launching. So that's exciting, and a couple other really cool features. So when you open up Lumio, there's going to be some new things in here. If you ever are looking to give some features, we are very much community driven, and we love our customers when they give us feedback and request features. It's pretty fun to see which features are coming and which features are being looked at, and your voice counts. So just keep that in mind as you are learning more about Lumio. The other thing is that if there is a chance that you want to reset your ID, you do under edit class over here in the upper right corner, you can reset your class ID. And then you also can personalize your banner in there. And if you need to, like instead of my name being Jody Bean, maybe it needs to be Miss Bean, I can go in and change my name. Some people like to change their name according to what they're teaching. So you can have a little fun with that, I think. All right, and then just so you know, these three tabs that are at the very top are always going to be there. And I'm going to start from the right to the left. First of all, if you are a Google Drive and your integration is turned on in Google Drive, you will see this visit my drive. So you can have that flexibility of starting in the dashboard, going to your Google Drive, or starting in your Google Drive and coming into your dashboard. You're always going to be connected to that workflow. We have this really great site right here that's a training site. It's very much a bite-sized tutorial because we know none of us have an hour or two at one time. And we want to be honoring that you might have 15 minutes, you might have 5 minutes. We have bite-sized training to learn more about Lumio. So if by chance today you're like, hey, I want to take it a little further than what Jody was talking about, click right here. And when you click on it, it's going to take you through a whole bunch of different ways to get started. How do you enhance your presentation or lesson? How do you engage your learners, deliver, and then how do I share? I forgot how Jody told me. This is where you'll go. What I love about it is that it's visually for people who are those visual learners, and then also a step by step. So if you'd rather read it, then you have that choice too, and it's right here. Pretty awesome. On the Explore resources, this is more for your teachers side of things. We have lots and lots of rigorous, wonderful, ready-made components that you can add to lessons. I love this one right here where it's that emotional literacy. And if you are ever doing that presentation and you want to check in with your kind of do that social emotional learning check-in, like, hey, how are you doing with that? You can go into this emotional learning and you can say, hey, how are you feeling today? Do you understand what's going on, with what we're talking about? And you can pull one of these into your presentation, and it's already ready made. It's all there. So take a look at that. Clicking on that little house. This is where we're going to spend the next 15 minutes. I want to show you how easy it is to take your existing content and moving it into that engagement interactive piece. So I am going to go here, and if you want to do this with me, I do, you do, please do this so you can really understand and play with it. What I want to do is I want to show you how I took my my growth mindset from my Google Drive and brought it in and then added those different interactive components. But here's what I want to show you. You have so much here. If you wanted to add that response, a poll and opinion question, you would go right here under this response. Looking at this little training hat, you see all along these in the upper right corner, those are quick little videos. So if I wanted to, I could go right here and it's going to show me a little bit about the response. And it's really helpful to figure out, oh yeah, now I get what Jody was talking about. And then you would just click on it, and then it'll take you through a wizard to add that into your presentation. But I want to start with my existing content and then build up around that. Does that sound okay, Janet?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, let's do that. So up here in the upper left corner, it says I can import PDFs. I can import smart notebook files that I might already have. I can import PowerPoints, and I can import Google Slides. If I click on this, if you are a Google user and you have your Lumio by Smart app already enabled in your Google Drive, you're going to have 3 different choices. If you're a Microsoft user, no worries, because I have my local storage here and I can access my OneDrive through my local storage. But I also have my Lumio library. So as I start to build these robust presentations, and I'm going to be using Lumio, my lessons will live in that Lumio library, and I can go access pieces of those different presentations.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go into my Google Drive, and I'm going to put in and just search if I know where it's at. Let's see what I have. It's right here. It's a PowerPoint. Do you guys do that too? Put your PowerPoints in your Google Drive? I do that. I'm like, oh, it's a PowerPoint. I'll just let it live in my Google Drive. So what I did here is I just clicked on in my Google Drive, and I'm pulling up my growth mindset presentation that I've given. And once I have it, and of course my internet's being really slow, check this out. This is the magic. This is what I love the most. I have my whole file here. I have 8 pages. And maybe what I can do, if I don't, maybe I just want to bring that page in and this page. Yeah, I don't need to review. And I'm just going to bring in these different pages. All right. So I can click what I want, and I can just add them right inside my Lumio editing mode. And there you go. So I've got my 5 pages that I want to work on. And let's start here. My title page is my title page. I don't need to do anything with it. I'm going to leave it as is. But I want you to point out, look at my screen really at the very bottom. I don't know if you can see this, but at the very bottom, it says this page is view only on the student devices. Let's reword that. This page is view only on our attendees' devices. If I don't do anything with this page, it's a view only page. They can't interact with it, which I'm good with. I don't think they need that. Recognize this page right here? Okay, so this was a Google slide or a PowerPoint. But one thing that's missing right here is I want to add that infinite cloner. Now it could be a car, it could be a clown, an ice cream. I don't care. It could be Yoda, baby Yoda. It doesn't matter. I can add whatever I want as my infinite cloner. So looking at the very top up here, I've got a few different tools that I want to show you. Number one, this hand tool is just your select tool. You have a text tool that will go through, and then you have this familiar little icon that's for your image. If I click on that, if I already have the image saved on my own device, I can go grab it. Or if I want to add an extra external web link, I can do that to this page for my attendees. Or I can go and look for a check. Let me do. I don't even have to leave Lumio. I can do a search right inside here. Let's see what I can come up with. Ha 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 ha. There you go. I didn't ever have to go anywhere. It's right here. So once I put that right there, and I love that it automatically cites it, so I don't have to worry about citation or anything. It's beautiful. I'm going to click on it, and I am going to go down to the middle, and I'm going to make it an infinite clone. Once I do that, this page is almost ready. It's still in view only. And I'm just going to check it. Notice I can poop out a whole bunch of little check marks there. Looks good, Jody. Love it. And I'm going to collect these and delete the ones I don't want. Now, the one thing I want to do is I want to create a collaborative workspace. So if I go all the way over to the right-hand side, I have this little magic wand. If I click on it, does this look familiar? Have we seen that before? If you said that we saw it inside presentation mode, you are correct. I'm going to get it ready and I'm going to go ahead and make this into a collaborative workspace. Now let's think about the power and potential of what I just did. It was a Google slide or a PowerPoint page. It was semi-interactive, but not as interactive as what I can do here in Lumio. So I'm going to go ahead and make this and change the title and put that in there. And now that page is ready to deliver to my students or to my attendees. Are there any questions about how to make it into a collaborative workspace? Yeah.
No questions.
Okay. So moving on, what I want to do right here is I actually want to go ahead and this page right here is already ready. I did this in the PowerPoint. All I want to do is maybe I might want to add some audio to this page if I wanted to. I could, maybe say after you've done these statements, I'd like for you to think of a couple more that are either growth mindset or fixed mindset as we're waiting for the rest of the group. Or I can just go ahead, click on that magic button and convert it to an individual handout. All I have to do is do that. And I can change the title again. I like to change my titles in there just so I know as I'm going through. And you get the idea of what I can do here. Now, let's say there's an article I want my participants to read. So what I'm going to do is down here at the very bottom, there's a plus sign. Do you guys see that in the thumbnail? I'm in editing mode. If I click on that thumb or that little plus sign, this familiar button comes back up. And I'm going to go right back up here to where it says import resources. And this time I'm going to go to my local storage. And I'm going to go to my desktop because I think I have something in here and it might not have anything to do. Let's see if I got something in here. Let's go here. And I'm going to go ahead and just populate it inside here. I had this PDF that I usually hand out for people, but now I can just integrate it right inside here. And you know what? This time I'm only going to do those 2 pages, those 3 pages, and I'm going to go ahead and add. So notice I just added a PDF and I can move them any way I want. So like if you're a Keynote user or a PowerPoint, I can move things around, make them work for me. Now, what do I have to do to make these so that they're interactive? What's the one thing I have to do? Because right now, if I go to deliver this lesson, it's going to be view only. So someone in the chat, tell me what I have to do.
Memory says go.
Yes.
That way?
Yep. Go this way. Is that what you're saying, memories? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this into an individual handout. And there we go. So notice how easy it is. I can do that. So now what I just did is I took that PowerPoint or Google slide or PDF, I added some interactivity to it. I could add some check for understanding, like, hey, let's take a poll right now. And I could add that to my lesson. Or I could even say, you know what, let's take a brain break. And I want you to come up with as many words as you can that you think of that has to do with power. I mean, there's just so many different types of things. But what I want to encourage you as we're winding down is to know that you have so many different components that you can add to your presentations that are going to be engaging. One of the newest features we have is this one right here, where it's a new page. And if you click on it, we have line pages, we have different templates inside here. But if you click on the line pages, there are different line, handwriting pages or grid paper. So there's just so many treasures inside Lumio. All right, I'm going to ask you, we're going to do a shout it out in just a second. So let's say I'm ready to present this. I'm going to go ahead and finish editing. It's right here. This is it right here. It also lives in my Google Drive. I can go into my Google Drive. I can move it anywhere I want it to live, just like I would on anything that I have in my Google Drive. I can move it around. But for now, I'm ready to present it. So I'm going to go ahead, float over it, and I'm going to start. Does this look familiar? This is where we started when we all got together about an hour ago. And I'm so glad you're here. We're ready to go. I'd like everybody to join me. If you could go to hellosmart.com/44720. We're going to do this in an interactive way. Love that we're able to communicate together. I've got some interactive, and now our static presentations have become a little more enhanced and engaged, and it kind of fits your personality, right? So we have all of these different activities in here. I can share my thumbnail. And if you're like, hey, you know what, I want to give you this presentation when we're done, so that way you can have it and review it. A couple things I can do, and I'm actually going to end the lesson. If I go into my dashboard right here, and you see these little 3 dots, a couple things I want to point out is that I can share this link. Now I can decide if I want to share it as a teacher with a colleague, maybe as my attendees might want to add that copy, or maybe I want them to go in as a student. Depending on what I want as the outcome, I can make a copy and put that link anywhere I want it to live. So I can put it in that platform that my presentation is going to be in and say, hey, here's the file that I'm going to be using today. I also have the ability to make a copy. So maybe you have your original presentation, you want to leave that alone, but you want to add different things into the next presentation. You can quickly make a copy, rename it just like you would in Google Drive or into PowerPoint. All right, so that being said, in a nutshell, there's a lot of different components that you can add as a presenter. For the time's sake, I wanted to do a shout out, but I don't think we have time. So I'd love for you to, in the chat, tell us what component are you most excited about to put into your presentations or dive deeper in.
Give you a minute to process.
Mm-hmm. And I want to challenge you to try to shout it out. It's a game changer when you're with a live group.
It's a brainstorming tool. So kind of like in Jamboard when you do a lot of brainstorming, except I was wondering, Jody, do you know the maximum number of people you can have in a shout it out?
I've had over 100.
I know. See, I've had lots too. Whereas a Jamboard, you're limited.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Oh yeah, it's like 30 or something.
The collaborative workspaces. And you know what? The best part about that, Marlene, is you don't have to really do anything except click the button to make it a collaborative workspace, right? Yes. Yes, I call it a heat map, Maurice. I use that as a heat map. I love making those types of pages where it's called organized chaos, right? In closing, I want to make sure you have all the necessary tools. I have and I'll pull it up right here for you, but I'm going to put it in the chat. Here are some resources, whether you're a Google user or a Microsoft user, or you're just wanting to just figure out, where you fit in with the Lumio. The page that I have for you, let me get to it and I'll show you it.
I love Tanisha's comment about, because to me, this is like the challenge for so many thousands and thousands of teachers, right? Like, how can you make this a little bit more interactive for teaching multigrade? It can be really difficult to keep students going through slides and on task. With regular PowerPoint, I hope the activities can help me know if you're actually reading and going through things. And yes, it's that evidence of learning, right?
Right. Yeah. Love that. So if you get this right here, if you can do bit.ly's, great. If not, let me know and I'll just put the regular link inside the chat. But these are all live links and they are phenomenally wonderful. So if you're working with teachers or you come across and you're like, oh, I know teachers that are using Flipgrid or they're using Seesaw or they're Microsoft users. We've got a lot of integrations. And we have teacher guides that will help you with that integration process. If you are a Google user, here's a Google Lumio integration guide. It's pretty step-by-step, pretty logical in there. And then also if you're a Microsoft user, here's a way to create and share directly in Microsoft Teams. And then this one right here is probably my favorite website. If you have administrators or you have any IT people, this site's also for them. We kind of divide it into the different aspects of who might be using Lumio. Take a look at it. Other than that, I'll stay on for a few minutes, just if you want to come off mute and ask some questions or want me to repeat something. But thank you so much. And Jenna, I'll let you close it.
Sure. Well, thank you, Jody, so much for coming. And oh, look at that. We have the monsters
Polly!
coming out. That's wonderful.
I love it.
Oh, I
Man,
have
if I
Lava
stay
Lab
on Marie-
upstairs.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
thank you so much. And it's actually great. The group of us that are here at the end, we Sue joined us last week for our session as well, and Marlene and I have worked together for many years, and I know, and of course Doug and Memories and ATLE. So we're a good group here at the end. That's I'm sure we all see the value of what you're sharing, and just thank you so much for your time. It's an interesting presentation to give because it's like you've got the layers of the tool, but then you've got the layers of how do you show someone how to use the tool, not just doing what's inside the tool. And Jody was able to navigate that very nicely. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording.
Yeah. So I'm going to put my info